Good morning and welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. Hope you guys are doing well and it's all going well in your world. It's okay here. I think today's the day that the country kind of opens up a bit and you can sit outside a pub and have some food and a drink. Amazing. And obviously the shops and stuff like that are open. The only problem is it's snowing, so I won't be sitting outside anywhere, which is a real pain. I can't believe it. Here we are, mid-April, snowing in London. Bonkers. Anyway, I'm not going to let the weather drag me down. We're going to talk today about a new perfume to me that's a relatively new one. It came out last year, and it's a summer banger. It's an absolutely gorgeous summer fragrance, and the fragrance we're talking about today is called Overdose, and it's from a house called Oman Luxury. Now, I'm going to show you the bottle now, and that's it there. It's quite beautiful. This is a 100ml bottle, lightweight cap, heavy glass bottle. Fantastic stuff. But I'm not really going to get too much involved in the presentation because we'll get Rich to put some photos up because they've changed. So the presentation is now completely different. They've gone for kind of like a more, I suppose, sophisticated, less kind of Middle Eastern vibe, as it were. I think Oman Luxury have got about 8 or 9 fragrances in their collection now. I've tried Oud Aqualaria by Dominic Ropignon, which is a fantastic apple-y sort of beautiful oud. There's another one called Paramour, which is absolutely amazing. This is this sweet sort of caramel, leather, fruity affair, which is absolutely glorious. But my friend on Instagram, Eliassense, or Ali as he's known, really highly recommended this one to me. So it was a bit of a blind buy. I'd tried the others in store, but I hadn't tried this one. And obviously, you know, with lockdown, I wouldn't have had a chance to go and give them a sniff. Now, Joe Voy in Mayfair carry the collection. So if you're in London, that's a really, really good place to go and start sniffing them, especially now they're going to be open. But obviously there's a place in Paris, and I think they're held in other stores. But if you are in the UK, Joe Voy would be my sort of recommendation for going to find out about the brand. And certainly if you're within striking distance of London, you must get down to Joe Voy and give them a sniff because they're amazing. I mean, Joe Voy have got such a massive collection of really, really interesting niche fragrances. It's always worth going in there. But if you're looking to try the Oman Luxury collection, then you should go in there. So what we'll do, I'm wearing it at the moment. I shall have another little spray, which is always a treat, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the perfume itself, who can wear it, where it's going to be good for, what I think of it, you know, how long it lasts, all the good stuff, and then most importantly, what it smells like. So let's have a little spray now. Amazing atomizer. It shoots bleeding miles. Oh, fabulous stuff. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so Overdose was launched in 2020 and the nose behind it is Philippe Paparella Paris. Now, this is a gentleman with a fantastic pedigree. He's made perfumes for Memo Paris, for Hermatica and various others, but he's not one of the names that you kind of instantly think, oh, I know this guy, because, you know, a lot of the perfumes that Philippe has made have been kind of very much in the niche world. But for those of you that aren't that sort of obsessed with niche perfumery, there are a couple of fragrances that he's made that do get a lot of traction and are talked about an awful lot. And they're from Ferrari, and they happen to be the two that I own from the brand. And that's Noble Fig and Bright Neroli. Two fantastic fragrances. These are often touted as kind of like the best value for money fragrances on the market, and I can't really disagree with that because they're both beautiful, brilliant, and extremely affordable. So there you go. So that's what Philippe can do when he's, you know, making fragrances on a more tighter budget. But I think when he made this one, Oman Luxury have said to him, just go and make the best fragrance you can buy. You know, you can make. Don't worry about materials. Just use what you can. Make the best fragrance you can do. My gosh, has he done a great job of this one. So if we look at the notes, you're going to get an idea of where the perfume goes and, you know, what it's all about. But, you know, put the kettle on, there's a lot of notes. And I do apologise to my ever-suffering colleague Rich, who's going to have to write all these out. So it's going to, you know, we're talking sort of like Roger Dove levels of materials used here. So I'll take a deep breath and then I shall go through the notes. So we have grapefruit, cardamom, bergamot, black pepper, saffron, lemon, mandarin orange, orange blossom, jasmine, lily, fig, orris, sage, ambergris, sandalwood, tonka bean, musk, vetiver, patchouli, plum and cedar. Wow, there's an awful lot going on there, as you can well imagine. And you would think with a sort of such a comprehensive list of materials that things might get a bit chaotic, but they really, really don't. This is an absolute pleasure to wear. It's going to be, I can see this being one of my most worn fragrances over the summer, and it's certainly been great in the spring, and I think it'll be a good fun one for autumn as well. It might, I mean, I don't know, there's something quite nice about a fresh, bright fragrance when it's cold, so it's going to get a kick in the winter as well. I'm going to be wearing it all year round, but I think this is absolutely going to excel, you know, when the weather's warm. I have quite a few sort of summer fragrances. One that I always talk about, obviously, you know, Bergamusk is one that I love to wear in the heat, but you know, I'm always looking to add to that because my collection is very, very sort of cold weather fragrance dominated, and I'm, you know, a bit thin on the ground when it comes to freshies. So I think this is going to be absolutely, it's just phenomenal. I mean, I sprayed it, you know, I've just sprayed it now, and I sprayed it a lot earlier, and it's just a fantastic fragrance. It is a real fizzer. Now, when it hits your skin, it bounces that intense grapefruit, the cardamom, the spices, and the bergamot. You get this beautiful, spicy, and very punchy citrus. It bounces off your skin. When I was talking about it on Instagram, I kind of likened it to a glass of champagne with bubbles that bounce off everywhere. And it really fizzes and cracks and pops and bounces off your skin. So it does kind of remind me of a glass of champagne, the way the bubbles just sort of float up your nose and stuff like that when you're, you know, sort of having a look at the glass. But it's bright, it's fresh, it's fun, it's fizzy, it's just, oh, it's very refreshing. But I think when they, you know, when they name this Overdose, what they've done is they've made these opening materials so intense, it does feel like a little bit of a fruity citrus overdose in itself. So I can see why they're calling the perfume that. But it's absolutely awesome, and it just wakes you up. You know, you can imagine sort of waking up on a hot morning and applying this and thinking, bang, I'm ready to face the day, because it is lovely. And you know, when you have this really, really bright, punchy citrus, and it is quite orange based. Orange seems to be, it's not the overriding material, but it certainly gives a very, very orangey vibe. It's a little bit, it reminds me a tiny bit of Andy Towers' Orange Star. There's a little similarity there, but it's beautiful. And then underneath all these bright fizzy citruses, you've got this lovely floral element that just lifts everything up, and it makes everything very airy. It's completely unisex as well, so don't be scared that, you know, there's lots of florals in it. Is it going to be too feminine? Because it really, really isn't. It's a fun, exciting fragrance, especially in the opening, and this opening goes on for a good while. You've got an hour of just this, wow, you know, brightness, and then the florals kind of kick in. And what I also like, I have to go back to this citrus opening, there's balance. It is very orange dominated, and the orange blossom, mandarin, and orange itself are all there. But there's kind of lemon, and there's a little bit more of a bitter citrus note in there with the grapefruit that just keeps it all in check and stops it becoming, you know, sweet and sickly, because it's not. It's sharp. It's very much like eating a sweet grapefruit. You've got that, you know, the bitterness and the sharpness, and if you put a little sugar on it as well to add to the sweetness, so you've got a real melange that actually works very, very well. Nothing's running away with anything. It's just a bright, fresh, beautiful, sweet opening. As it develops, the orris comes in, and there's a slightly herbal notes, slightly herbal vibe rather than notes that come through, and I think that's probably things like the sage that are just kind of doing that. And then the ambergris comes in, and this is interesting. The ambergris works like a brake. That saltiness from the ambergris just kicks in, and what it does is it keeps everything in check. It's not overly creamy, it's not overly sweet. There's a little bit of a saltiness there. It's a kind of a bit like walking amongst the dunes on a summer's day by the sea, when you're just getting a little bit of that sea breeze come blowing across, and it's lovely. And then of course the sandalwood in here, which I really, really enjoy. That mixes with the tonka bean to give a creamy kind of sweet base, but it's not overly sweet. And what this does is this gives the perfume so much more balance, and it gives it a little bit more depth. So you have this wonderful charge of fruits and sparkling citruses and things like that. And you know, you've got fig in there as well, making it all very rich and lovely. And then what happens is, you know, as I say, the ambergris comes in and just makes everything a little bit salty, a little bit more calm. And then, of course, there's nothing more calm than sandalwood. And that, when that mixes with tonka, comes across. I don't really get too much from the vetiver or the patchouli. I think they're there to support the other notes more than anything. You know, you don't suddenly think, oh, right, we're at the patchouli stage. It doesn't really work like that, for me anyway. What I do get is a rather dignified dry down. So this starts off like a teenager at a party going mad, and then it ends up like a sophisticated chap at the party, you know, holding court and being all sort of grown up. So it's definitely a perfume of two halves, but it works so well. I love this transition, and what it does is it makes it a really versatile perfume, because you can wear this to a party, no problem at all, but you can also wear this to work. It can be quite dignified when you know, if you don't overspray it, it's absolutely fine. So, you know, if you overspray it, because it is a loud perfume, you will, you know, certainly be the center of attention, which doesn't really make it that appropriate for work. But if you go light on the trigger, this will be perfect for work. It's a beautiful freshie. It has very good projection, especially in the first couple of hours. It's incredibly noticeable and leaves a wonderful trail around you. So you are in this bubble of summer explosion as you go about your business. But that bubble kind of calms down a bit. And as it calms down a bit, the heavier notes start to come through. And that's when it starts becoming much more refined, much more dignified, and a lot more restrained. So it's perfect. You know, if you were going out, it's sort of going out, you know, early afternoon to a pub garden or something like that. For the first couple of hours, you've got this bright shininess, and as your evening goes on, you become more sophisticated smelling, you know, and you're changing with the weather as it goes through. Very clever stuff. It's also an incredibly long-lasting perfume. You know, I've worn it to work a few times. I've gone out to work, and when I've come back, I can still smell it very easily on me. It's completely, well, not completely different. It's different to when I left, though. You have got, you know, as I say, these two stages, very fruity and then very sort of more calmed and sophisticated. But what I like is all that bright, shiny, sharp citruses in the opening. You don't lose them. So when the perfume dries down, you've got the warmth, the saltiness, the smoothness, but there's still a noticeable fruity vibe to it. So it's absolutely excellent for that. In terms of who can wear it, totally unisex, slightly maybe a little more masculine leaning, but a woman could wear this easily and very confidently, knowing that they're going to smell great. Because it's sweet and it's sharp and it's punchy, it's great for the younger thruster, but I think us more mature fragrance enthusiasts will absolutely love it as well. I know for a fact that when more people try this, we're going to hear so much more about this perfume. It's really worth exploring, and I think it's going to be one of my, you know, favourite summer fragrances without a doubt. In terms of price, they come in a 100ml bottle. This one's 100ml, and they're just over the £100 mark. Which I think represents excellent value. It's a little bit more expensive than a designer fragrance, but my gosh, it is worth it. It really just, I don't know, excellent value. So there you have it. This is my take on Overdose by Oman Luxury, a perfume and a house that we're going to be hearing a lot more about in the coming months. So listen, guys, thank you very much for your time. I hope you are well, and we will see you very soon on the next video. So cheers, thanks, and bye.